big bump. from. Formerly Armco Steel. Instead of manufacturing steel, they now recycle cars here. You can go in and look and see if they have the car you're looking for and pick parts off of it. Somebody working on their van in there. It's now moved mostly indoors. Pretty efficient. One of our neighbors used to work here at Armco Steel before they shut down. Take it sleazy under this bridge. I can see that if this truck can make it underneath, then I can. 12 foot 0 inches. Scrape, 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 screech. That's one of them there bridges that takes people out. Kansas City. Oh, right lane closed. Lovely. is the Avenue, Independence Avenue. It is actually known for its plentiful trade in a lot of other things here besides hookers, but you can almost pick them out. But these days, you won't see the ladies standing on the corner. You'll see men standing on the corner. And if you're looking, you approach the men, the pimps. He'll tell you to go over about a block or two, and there'll be a fine lady waiting for you, because they do a lot of sweeps up and down this street, the Vice Police. Not to say you don't see the women. There's plenty of women walking up and down the street who are looking to make some money. But pretty desperate. And that's unfortunate. There's a lot of other things here too. Drugs, vagrancy, usual. But the thing is that you go over a couple of blocks either direction and you're in some pretty nice neighborhoods and some not so nice neighborhoods. I wonder what these gentlemen are hanging out looking for. I'm not saying anything, but no trespassing. And they keep closing the road on me. Yeah, I think I'll just stay in this lane for a while. Now they won't do it. And the thing is, there's a lot of immigrants in this area too. And they've brought a lot of nice things to the neighborhoods, a lot of businesses, and there's a little mall up here. It's like the center of the Somali community in Kansas City. It's a building that has many businesses inside it. Hence I call it a mall, but it's not really a mall. And it's called Samal. Get it? Here it is up here, I think. Right here on the corner. Mobile Solutions. All these are Somali-owned businesses. Holy Land Market. And they really have changed the morality to the area, and they don't want a lot of the garbage around their businesses and around their people. So they've done a lot of good. Kansas City University, College of Osteopathic Medicine. on this corner, and it used to be there were these two really hotels. Now there's three, but one is still standing. The other two were knocked down by the city eventually. And I mean, they were like, you know, in the crack epidemic, they were where all the crackheads hung out. And always the prostitutes would ply their trade around here and bring their clients in there. And drug deals galore. And there were two incidents, and these are like urban legend type things, but they really did happen. First one was somebody checked into a room, and somebody checked in a room and they complained about the smell, and the name of the place is called the Motel Capri, and we all just called it the Motel Crappy. So he complained to management that there was a really bad smell in there, so they sent a cleaning person in there to check out and see what it was. Sure enough, they could smell something. It was really nasty. So they looked around the room to see what it was, and they looked under the bed, and there was the last resident of the motel room who never checked out because somebody had murdered him and stuffed him under the bed. You can look that one up. It really did happen. I'm not making it up. Then the other one, the motel across the street, you know, another fine, they check them in but they don't check out kind of place. They it was around Thanksgiving time. I can't remember what year it was. I'd like to say 2011 or so. They found a dead prostitute in a stairwell, and they think she had been there for about a week before anybody found her. Isn't that sad? That's just ridiculous. And now we've entered the old Northeast neighborhood, the Columbus Park area. This was where a lot of Italians immigrated to and lived in Kansas City. And they all moved out to the suburbs, mainly north of the river. And this section in here was the Sicilians who lived in this area, and then they worked in the old river market mainly. And the Vietnamese moved in, and some of the best Vietnamese food, Vietnamese life in this area. Wonderful people. And it kind of makes sense because the Vietnamese were colonized by the French in their home country. French are diehard Catholics. That means that a lot of Vietnamese are very Catholic, and they would be attracted to an area with that's a centerpiece is a Catholic church, which is what's the name of that church? I should know that. And here we are at the old farmers market, or the rechristened the river market. And a lot of the people and everything in this area is very well known. And in some cases, I'm not trying to add stereotypes, it was notorious. This car is parked way over. You need to back up, buddy. You're in the streetcar tracks. So yes, unfortunately, organized crime was in this area too. And if you've ever seen the movie Casino, it's based off of real life events, and a lot of those real life events happen around here. They mentioned in that movie was about a homicide that happened in this area. It wasn't just a homicide, it was a war between factions of the organized crime. And they were killing each other and blowing up buildings in this area. And so the FBI was looking for information on one of the homicides. I believe it was I don't know, don't quote me on this. I won't say it because I just not being very accurate. But they were looking for information on a homicide when and it was in a market, I guess, when one of the maid mafia guys just started mouthing off about the Las Vegas scam deal, and every month they get less and less from this scam, and even though they knew they were pretty much being wiretapped, he just kept going on and on and on about it. So they started writing down all this information. Las Vegas scam? We're just looking for information on a little homicide here in Kansas City. What are you talking about? So that unraveled the whole Las Vegas, it was called the Straw Man case. And, you know, the Kansas City Mafia was controlled supposedly by the Chicago Mafia. And this guy just basically told the FBI everything. And pretty much unraveled the Kansas City Mafia, even though forever and ever and ever they were looked at as impenetrable because, you know, they talk about mafia families. Literally, the Kansas City mob there's the old Pacific House Hotel. This area is called Delaware Street. At one time it was called the River Quay, spelled Q-U-A-Y, and a quay, which looks like quay but is pronounced key, is like a wharf area next to a river or a body of water. You know, like the docks where they would unload, and warehouses and things like that. And in the 1960s and early 70s, one man came to be the owner of a lot of these buildings. His name was Marion Terzolo. And he decided he wanted to start a Greenwich Village here in Kansas City, kind of like a little Bohemia. Just that. And what destroyed it was in 1976 and 77, the aforementioned quote-unquote mob war, where they were blowing up buildings and killing each other. It all happened around here. Matter of fact, this antique store has been here since, I think, the 60s. A lot of these stores in this area haven't changed. Although that antique store may have been somewhere else and then relocated, if I remember right. And it's always been a pretty good antique store. I'm gonna wait for this Tesla to zip on by. Oops. Kansas City is very, very, very pretty in the spring, even when the weather is kind of gloomy. All the flowers are out, the trees are pretty. I'm sure it's not the best thing in the world if you're super duper allergic to pollen and now we're turning right out of the Key area. We're going to cross the river over the Broadway / John Jordan Buck O'Neill Bridge, which is slated to be replaced. It's a shame. It's an iconic bridge But I do hope that what they build is an improvement. Some of the things I don't like about the bridge is it's not pedestrian / bicycle friendly. And that does not mean that there aren't pedestrians and bicycles on this bridge. There are a lot of them. Matter of fact, when you cross over the bridge here at the downtown airport, which used to be the main airport in Kansas City before encroachment, not the main airport, and there's a little area right across the river called Harlem. Just like Harlem in New York, Harlem. And there used to be an airport motel down there, a Holiday Inn. And the Holiday Inn pretty much survived on, towards its latter years as a Holiday Inn, on contracts where the government would bill it students. So like the National Weather Service has a training school here up in Kansas City, a major one, and they would bill it to students. So you can sort of see the old Holiday Inn over there. We stayed there for a week in the winter, January 1978, when we moved up here. My dad worked for the Weather Service, so that's how I know all this stuff. And back then when it was a Holiday Inn. And then when they would have their gatherings and stuff, like they would have summer, they would hold it in the Holiday Inn. And kind of what ended that was Harlem was not the nicest of neighborhoods. What few residents Harlem had were dirt poor and usually inclined to be criminals. And they were coming and breaking into the cars in the parking lot at the Holiday Inn and destroying property and everything else like that. So the government complained to the management of the Holiday Inn. And they were like, there's not a whole lot we could do. And the government just moved their business elsewhere, and that was the end of the Holiday Inn. So now it's a kind of a cheap, rundown, yucky apartment building. And so that ties into what I'm talking about with the Broadway Bridge. A lot of people who live in that apartment building walk across the bridge frequently to get to the other side where the liquor store is, the nearest liquor store. And somebody usually wearing black, all black, is stumbling around across. How many people have been hit on that bridge? That was a situation in my life where I went for a long walk and I walked across that bridge. So I had a first-hand experience about how tricky it is to get across. And I tell you, there's these little like sidewalks, if you can call them that. They're like these graded, raised, elevated areas next to the roadway. And there's something of a guardrail you can hold on to. But I tell you, those cars come through there fast. And they don't care if there's a human being or what is in their way. And you can literally feel the wind up against your arm as cars are zipping past you just inches from your body. So we wish our iconic bridge could be preserved in some way, shape, or form and improved upon. But one of the improvements that I would really want, just like the Heart of America Bridge, are walkways / bicycle pathways, so that people can get across the river without risking their lives and not necessarily having to get in an automobile. Matter of fact, this whole area up here needs something, either adjacent to or a trail around, or but unfortunately this whole area is kind of be trail would quickly have a lot of people you wouldn't want to run into, those quote unquote people you wouldn't want to meet, dark alley types. just crossed the Missouri River, and we're now north of the river. And for the most part, when you look to the west of the Missouri River, kind of takes it to the northwest. The city was started close to the mouth of the Missouri in the Kaw River. And that's how the city of Kansas, or the city of Kansas, got its name. It wasn't a state, it was maybe it was a territory at the time, but essentially the city of the Kansas River, or the city that was started pretty close to the mouth of the Kansas, where it meets the Missouri River. Watch live now, Ryan Hall, y'all. And Nomadic Fanatic has uploaded another video. Ryan Hall, y'all, is going live because there's severe weather somewhere, probably in the southeast. Southeast. Supposed to be severe weather day down there. Major outbreak. Ooh. Oh yeah, I have to go up to the bunk. Like, oh boy, he's back in that thing again. If you're seeing a lot of cars passing me, it's because there's a lot of cars passing me. If you haven't noticed, I'm in a different vehicle. I'm in a motorhome. I always think that that's an appropriately named company. You know, Asplund. It's like, what can we name our company that makes the sound the trees make when we cut them down? Asplund. I'm sure that's not how they pronounce it, but... yeah, I'm in a motorhome, and you know, I drive low and slow like a grandpa. What's that you say, Sonny? And so I'm not setting any speed records, and I never do. And you see a lot of people red-faced, shaking their fists as they drive past you. Like so. I'm not driving this thing on two wheels just to make your life easier. Excuse me. I got my second beer influenza shot today. No ill effects. As I say, I am so happy the adults are now in charge. Things are getting done. Excuse me. Ralph. There is another Tesla. There's a lady that's upset because she was trying to make a turn and I was blocking her view. Sorry. Not doing it on purpose. I was about to use the force on that light. And all I had to do was think about it and it changed. I wonder if I can do my Jedi. Oh, there it went. My Jedi powers work on traffic lights. All right. Let there be How you doing? It's a very interesting shot I was on forever and ever and ever. I don't want people to hear my complicated financial transactions, so I can turn the mic off for that kind of stuff. Man, you gotta watch your swing on this thing. You're gonna whack something, and it'll be this thing that you whack. Everything else will probably be fine. Oh, look at that old Trailblazer over there. In good shape. I wonder how much they want. I keep having these recurring fantasies that I'm going to be an Uber driver, but nah. I don't think there's anything really that romantic about it. 2005, 6450. Probably got about 1 million miles on it. It's a pretty car though. Fully loaded. I can see it's got a sunroof. Those Trailblazers are nice. I drove one for work, and how many miles did it have on it when I got out of it? 170 something, and still going strong, really. Had a very smooth ride, but it got really, 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 really lousy mileage. But it was reliable. It was a great storm chase vehicle. And one day I went out with a reporter. It was an icy, snowy day, and our job was to go out and cover rural roads in Platte County. So we were experimenting around with live streaming. This was what, 2008, I think. And I had the car about a year. And so I was going to run the live stream and cameras and take video and stuff, and she was going to drive and on this icy gravel road. Well, she just went a wee bit too fast, and we ended up in the ditch. But the amazing thing was we live streamed it, and man, they said the audience just exploded. Everybody was watching us. What are those crazy people at Channel 4 doing? And but she did some damage to the front end of my car, which they had a funky way of fixing that at Channel 4. Involved bolts and I think staples, and it was just the plastic covering of the bumper was messed up. But my car ended up started looking like a Franken car after that. Ditch hard. The story we meant to go cover, we really covered, and we demonstrated the difficulties of driving on icy rural gravel roads. We put the car in the shop. We were towed to a shop, and they did a little work on it, and we were good to go, and that added to our story. It's fun. And at the end of the day, they were like, way to turn a adversity into an opportunity. Also video when I'm driving on a rural road in Kansas, this time in the springtime, with Dave, and we were kind of lost looking for this house. We were like a rural block over, which is like a mile, and these dogs came out to greet us. Like, they'd never seen people before driving around. And, you know, I'm shooting video with my camera of this crazy dog was biting our car tires as we were rolling, and we were worried about squishing these stupid creatures and then having to deal with that and not getting our story done. Eventually I pulled away from them and peeled out and left them behind, and I didn't squish a single doggy, thank God. Good times. Not really. Station I no longer work at today, and I'm like, I am really happy I don't work there anymore. I feel sad for the people that do. That's a weird noise. It reminds me I've got to do something about that. Been saying that for over a year now. That dinette, the back is separated, and of course we have kids now, so you tell them, hey, that back, don't ride the dinette. And of course you look, and one kid is like pushing as hard as he can against the table while his feet are pushing. You're gonna break that. The only fix, I think, I tried wood glue, and I think the only fix is to actually somehow bolt it together. Maybe get some corner braces and then put some bolts in, metal corner pieces, if you find enough wood. This RV is definitely not made out of plywood, I can tell you that. It's made out of my Nemesis. There's a lot of particle board in here. There's a lot of actual plywood too, but in some of the critical areas, it's particle board. Oh, that's the new Sienna. The new Sienna looks more like the SUV. What is it called? The Highlander? They sort of look similar. And I've looked inside the Sienna. It's really roomy inside. Very well laid out. I believe they are the only minivan left that does all-wheel drive. Which essentially makes your Sienna into an SUV with sliding doors. I worked with a lady. She's like, I will never buy a minivan. That will say that I am middle-aged mama. And as she became a middle-aged mama, she kept saying that. I said, really, that's the most efficient, best design. You could use it. It's very handy. You know, which is what a minivan replaced. And SUVs very inefficiently use their body. And all SUVs really are is all minivans are is a SUV with sliding doors. It uses the space more efficiently, but it's got that image, and don't want to have anything to do with that. And So we used to go round and round about it. I used to kid her about it all. Yeah, why don't you get a minivan? Why don't you shut up? So she buys a crossover. What do you call those? Chevy Equinox. No, not an Equinox. The big version of that. The 4-door, well, Equinoxes were generally 4 doors, but yeah, one of those. It's sitting in the driveway there. She bought one of those. And I'm like, you realize all that is, it's actually an SUV with doors that open out in the back. It's even got the captain's chairs. It's very roomy. It's very well laid out. It's laid out like a minivan. So really, that thing is a minivan. It's just, it's got all-wheel drive and there's my neighbor who probably isn't very amused to see me wheeling this thing into the neighborhood again. You have to do a mwahaha. Alrighty, now I have to figure out how to get this into the backyard. Haven't done this in a while, so. Anybody trying to sneak by me? And of course we have our fence sort of dog proofed as much as I can, and the dogs are still getting out. Oh, first world problems. My driveway is the weirdest driveway. It was built curvy because there used to be a tree they built around, and the tree, of course, died. But it means you have to kind of do like this S-curve thing. Alrighty. Take it sleazy, slow and easy. And I love how we just add to the problem by building an obstacle course. Because there's a thing in the way. In my path. Just enough to be a nuisance. Row. Bad boys, bad boys. Ghetto bird is flying over our house. And I hear sirens. This is real entertaining. Plastic thing I knew I would run over, square, it'd make this awful sound, and I go, oh my god, what am I running over? I'm pretty sure it's a plastic thing. Hopefully it's not a dog. No, our dogs are too smart to make themselves squished. Don't ever say that. Oh, I think we've got it. Here. Give myself enough room on this one side. We got plenty of room. I just need to give myself some room on this one side so when I want to plug something in on this side I can walk around and do that. And do not run over the edge edge of the wall here. Alright. Which means it's slang. It means we can't go any further. I learned that when I said we are docked, and everybody in the back seat, this was in the Philippines, everybody in the back seat, he knows Bisaya? And they were giggling that not only did I say something in Bisaya, but I said it in a perfect slang. And I said, no, I always say that. We are docked. Meaning the big boat we're in is docked. And they thought I said di mada, which is dili for no, and ma is short for something, and then da, can't go any further. And I was told that it's actually pretty derogatory saying. Alrighty. I'll end this here.